Hey Flosstube, it's Melissa from the Daily Mail, and I am back today with Flosstube video number 6. I apologize I didn't get a video posted a couple of weeks ago. I was suffering from horrible allergies or a cold or something, and I was congested and my eyes were all watery, and it just was not going to be a good look. So I decided to forego that video. So I apologize, but I am back with a video again today. Today is Sunday, April 28th. And of course, you know what that means. It's almost time for Stitch Maynia. So we'll talk about that and my plans for Stitch Maynia. Now you also will probably notice I am wearing a baseball hat again. Yes, baseball season is still in full swing, pardon the pun. My Angels aren't doing as well as I would like, but you know, there's a lot of baseball to go yet. But the reason I'm wearing this hat today is it is opening weekend for Avengers Endgame, and the company that I work for, which is the Aerospace Corporation, we are often teased that our Circle A logo looks an awful lot like the Avengers logo. So in honor of Avengers Endgame, I thought I would wear it today. So anyway, we've got a lot to get to, so I'm just going to jump right in. First thing I thought I would share is a finish. I thought I would have two by now, but I only have the one, and that is glitter. Oh, I forgot. Here's where it was last time. I'm out of practice. And then I did actually finish Glitter House number 3 from the Glitter Village series by Country Cottage Needleworks. Oh, how do you like my new little needle minder? That's Angels Baseball, 1961, which is the year the club was started. I actually had several of these buttons that I've amassed, and so I turned them into little needle minders. I can show you real quick. I just took out the little, twisty metal pin part in the back and glued in a 3/16 inch rare earth magnet and turn them into little needle minders. Yeah. So I have plenty of Angels baseball needle minders now, so I can use those when I'm watching the Angels play. So that is the only finish that I do have since my last video, and the stitch count on this one gives me a $5 credit on my Stitch for Stash budget, but I am still so much in the hole it's ridiculous, so I'm still keeping track of it. I have not abandoned it, but I will not be out of the hole by the time we end at the end of June, so it's just a reality. Okay, so whips. I have made a lot of progress on my Being Inspired. So I'll put a picture right, oh, wait, which side am I putting it? I don't remember now. This side, I think. Yeah, so I don't know why I did this before. They'll all be over here. So I'll have a whip, my last progress whip picture over here. And since then, I have not only finished all the black outlining, I have filled in a lot of the color. So I am probably a third of the way done with the color now. And I did do a conversion for the skin tones. These were both charted like the Caucasian hand, but I decided to make mine a bit more inclusive, and so I made one of the skin tones a browner skin. And I will also be doing that, and I haven't decided which yet. I may actually do it on the mermaid. I may make her a brown skin mermaid, because you don't see many brown skin mermaids, so I think it would be nice to have that out there, and then do the Sailor Girl as charted with a more Caucasian skin tone. But yeah, so this is my Be Inspired by Stitch Rovia, and it is on 32 count limestone Lagana using the recommended DMC. If it weren't for Stitch Maynia, I would like to think I could finish this one in May, but it will not happen with Stitch Maynia going on. So I'm hoping maybe by 4th of July I can have this one done. Okay, the next one I made some progress on is my Thanksgiving Harvest Fairy, and again I'll put a picture up here of where she was last time. And here she is now. I finished up her other wing that still needed to be finished. So I need to do a bit more hang on, a bit more on either side here of the hanging greenery from her swag she's holding. But that's not a whole lot. And then all she'll need is beading and she'll be done. So I'm thinking I might like to have her finished by 4th of July too. If I could get both of those finished during the Stitch for Stash, it would really help my negative balance situation. Because this one I will get extra credit, a bump in my spending, because she has beading. And you get a 10% bump for beading and specialty stitches. So, okay, the last WIP I have was actually also a new start, and it may end up becoming a UFO because I am not enjoying the fabric at all. The chart is Spell of the Moon by Blackbird Designs. Here's a picture of what it looks like finished. I have not stitched on Aida in probably close to 20 years. Once I made the switch to even weave and linen, I just didn't really ever go back to stitching on Aida, or Aida as some people call it. But there's so many really pretty overdyed Aida fabrics out there now that I thought, well, you know, maybe I'll give it a try. And people that I know who stitch on it have talked about how it's really come a long way over the years. It's a lot softer than it used to be because now you can get quality Aidas and not just the cheap stuff at Michael's or Joann's or Walmart, which is what I used to use back in the day. So I decided I would give it a try. So I got some 18 count vintage country mocha and started Spell of the Moon. But it's still just a lot stiffer than I really like, so I don't know if I will finish it on this or not. I have some 32 count vintage country mocha in my stash. I think I've got a half yard of it. So since I'm kind of just getting started on this, I may actually just abandon this one. I could like pull out these stitches and then maybe do a pass the stash on this fabric, because I am just not enjoying it. And life is too short to stitch on something you don't enjoy. So that one may end up being abandoned. Okay, the next new start I have, we're going back to, did I talk about, yeah, never mind. Is going back to Glitter Village, and I have started House 4. So I have caught back up. If you remember, as of my last video, I was a little behind on March. I didn't get it finished until like March, I think 7th or something. I'm sorry, April 7th. And my goal was to do, I started on January 1st and my goal was to do one house a month. So I am I'm back on track for now. I mean, we're not quite to the end of April yet, and I am hoping to finish this by the end of April. So all I have left is a little bit more of the snow over here under the deer, and then the little flowery type border. This one has a little fence, I think, in the border too. So other than that, that's all I'll lack to have this one finished. Oh, I'm having a hard time keeping this in frame. There we go. And this is on 32 count natural and silver opalescent linen. So that was my other new start and a WIP update on it. So I think that takes care of all my WIPs and finishes. And as I've said before, I'm not a big FFO girl, so I don't have any FFOs to show you. I do have a few pieces I'm working on now that I will probably end up having professionally framed. And I do have one gift project that will certainly be FFO'd. But a lot of these things, I don't know what I will do with them. They'll go in my, you know, BBO, is that what it's called? Wait, or box under the bed. Whatever the acronym is, I can't remember right now. So anyway, so we will move on now. I do have a little bit of happy mail to share with you all. As some of you may know, I participated in the 24 hours of cross stitch. I think it was in early April, if memory serves now. Like that first full weekend or second full weekend of April, I don't remember. But it's organized by Jen from Quirks and Stitches. It's something she and her mom started, I think, last year. They decided they were going to binge watch season 1 of the show 24, and they were going to cross stitch while they watched it, and they went straight through 24 hours of 24 and of cross stitching. And a lot of people joined in after the fact, and it's now a thing. So take 2 was in April, and takes 3 and 4 are already on the books. They are changing things a little bit though, because I was a proud member of Team Sleep. I did not go the whole 24 hours, but I did actually stitch 17 hours. And at the end of the 24-hour period, there was a check-in, and those of us who checked in, our names went into a draw for some prizes, and I actually won one. So I won this really cute dolphin scissor fob. Isn't that adorable? And I like that it's more of a mini size, because I use really tiny scissors, like 2.5, 3.5 inches tops. And some of the full size long scissor fobs just overpower them. But this is like the perfect length for my little scissors. So yeah, so thank you so much, Jen and Cindy. I did post in the Facebook group, and thank you there, as well as tagging Jen on Instagram. But I just really wanted to be sure and give a big thank you for their generosity, not only for hosting the event, but for providing a lot of really cool prizes, you know, out of their own pocket. So I think that was really, really lovely. And I just love the community in our cross-stitching world. So thanks so much, Jen and Cindy. Again, I really appreciate it. Okay, next up, I've got some haul, and because this is going to be a long video anyway, I'm going to kind of speed through some of these. This I should have posted in my video 2 weeks ago, but of course, since I didn't post one, I didn't, so I'm just now getting to it, and I'm sure you've probably all seen these already, but I did get my Colors and Cotton Floss of the Month from Crazy Annie's. I am in the All Colors pack, so I will just show these real quickly. This is Crushed Velvet. This is Monster Jam. And here's the 2 of those next to each other, so you can get a better idea. That is Crushed Velvet, the darker, and Monster Jam over here is the lighter. I have this beautiful Sweet Pea Green. Driftwood, which is kind of a yellow and light brown or a dark beige. And Rose Gold. And I'll show those 2 next to each other as well. So this is Rose Gold, and this is Driftwood over here. So that is the Color and Cotton Floss of the Month for April. I also received my Color and Cotton Fabric of the Month, and this I do directly through Color and Cotton. My floss I get through Crazy Annie. The fabric I get directly from Color and Cotton. And this month I got a 1/4 yard cut of 28 count Jobelan in Crystal Blue. It's really, really pretty. It's got the slightest hint of modeling, but not a whole lot. It's just a really, really pretty crystally sky blue. Yeah, it's really nice. And they're Jobelan. I don't know what company they use or who makes their Jobelan, but it is really, really nice. So yeah, so that is the Crystal Blue. Oh, here, I'll turn around and show the name there. And I think, at least as of a couple of weeks ago, I think maybe, they had opened it back up for new people to sign up, because I know my bestie signed up for theirs. And again, I am in the, I think I'm in the All Colors for this as well. They have options for bright colors or neutrals. I can't remember what they all are, but I'm in one of the combination ones, so I'll get a little bit of everything. I'm thinking about switching over to the neutrals though, because I tend to use neutral fabrics a lot more, but it is kind of fun getting these really fun bright ones, because last month I got a pistachio green and this month I got crystal blue, so it's nice having some options. And then the last thing, this was something I ordered at market time, but I just now got it. It was from the Picture This Plus big sale they had when they launched their 5 new colors. And I think they were either 20 or 25% off. I can't remember which. But since I do use a lot of neutral fabrics and do a lot of prim and samplery type work, I got a 1 yard cut of the Heartland 32 count Lugana. This was a fabric they had created a few years back for one of the Lizzie Kate Christmas mystery samplers, but it was never part of their regular line, I don't think, or maybe it was for that year, but they've brought it back. And I, for one, am very thankful. It is a really, really pretty, nice, kind of almost a goldeny side of a vintage looking fabric. So yeah, so this is, again, Heartland. Picture this plus 32 count Lugana, a 1 yard cut. And I will admit, I know you're not supposed to use things until you've shown them on your Flosstube video, but I may or may not have cut into it already. I had a couple of things I was kitting up for Stitch Maynia, and this fabric was going to be perfect for them. So yeah, I cut into it. But see, I'm honest about it, because if I had kept it folded like this, you never would have known. Okay, so that was all my haul and happy mail, so that brings us to Stitch Maynia. And I'm already at 15 minutes in on this video. Oi, I need to go faster. Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with Stitch Maynia, hang on, I'm going to take a drink of water real quick. Getting a little dry mouth. Do you like my Harry Potter Tervis? I love it. Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with Stitch Maynia, it started in 2015, and people started 15 new starts in the first 15 days of May, and they called it Stitch Maynia. It's M-A-Y-N-A-A. And then, but some people take it the whole way, and they do 31 new starts for the whole month. And they've done this every year. I do not like having that many whips. I have had in the past as many as 80 whips at a time, and it kind of drove me a little crazy. So now that I have managed to bring my whip count down to a reasonable amount, I kind of want to keep it semi-reasonable. So, and if you remember in my last video, I was contemplating 19 new starts. I have come to my senses. I will not be doing 19 new starts. See, I'm not crazy, Anita, I promise. Shout out to Anita, that's my bestie's mom. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take my current whip count, which is, well, it will be 12 as of May 1st, because I do intend to get Glitter House 4 finished before May. So that will bring my whip count to 12. So I'm going to do 7 new starts, which will bring my whip count to a total of 19. But I kind of wanted to feel like I was participating all 19 days. So what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some stitches on each of my 12 existing whips and intersperse the new starts within it. So every day I will be working on a different project. And I have come up with a schedule of what day I will be working on what pieces. So I'll have 12 whips and 7 new starts, again, for a total of 19, which I already talked about. I'm reading off my notes now. I already covered that. My new starts will primarily take place on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So one in the middle of the week and one on the weekend, with the exception of May 4th. On May 4th, I have an all-day stitch class I'm planning to attend. And so I will be working on my counted canvas whip on that day, and I will not start a new piece that day. At least that's tentatively where my mind is on it right now. But the way the math works out, then I will end up finishing the last 3 days of Mania, so on the 17th, 18th, and 19th, with 3 days of new starts. So that's just the way the math worked out by doing Wednesdays and Saturdays. Okay, so here is my plan. So on May 1st, to kick off, I will be starting my May Glitter Village house, which will be house number 5, which is actually a little church, it looks like. I don't see a cross on it per se, but it kind of looks like a little steeple, so I think it's a church. So that will be my May 1st start, and you've already seen the fabric and stuff for that, so I'm not going to show that again, you know, because it's all going on that same piece. For May 2nd, I will be working on my Taj Mahal mandala, and I'll put a picture right up here. And all of these are where the most current state of that whip. I've already shown you 3 or 4 of them that I've got going, so I'm not going to cover those again. So I'll go past those fairly quickly. Okay. Okay, so May 3rd will be Halloween Fairy by Mirabilia. She's getting really close to a finish. I mean, I won't be able to finish working on her one day, but she's getting really close. She could potentially be a Stitch from Stash finish in June as well. I'm kind of thinking that's what I'm going to do. Since I'm going to have all these new starts in May, I'm thinking I may make June a focus on finishing month. And so maybe try and knock out Be Inspired and the Thanksgiving Harvest Fairy and Halloween Fairy and get all 3 of those. And she obviously, of course, will get a double bonus on her because not only does she have beading, she also has a lot of specialty fibers. So, okay, May 4th, which is a Saturday, I've already talked about, I won't be starting a new start that day, but I will be working on my Plum Blossom Kimono by Margaret Bendig. And the local Stitch class I'm taking, she is actually the teacher for that class. So that's why I want to work on that piece that day while I have, access to her. So if I run into any, trouble with any of the stitch diagrams or whatever, she's there to help me out. So I will work on that piece on the day I take her class. And it's just an open Stitch class. You can work on whatever. So it's a good time to work on that. Okay, on May 5th, I will be working on Royal Holiday by Mirabilia. She is being stitched on 32 count conifer by Picture This Plus. On May 6th, I will be working on Siren and the Shipwreck by Mirabilia. And I do need to make a correction. I think the last time I said that she was being stitched on a mystery fabric from Silkweaver, and that was totally wrong. She is on a mystery fabric from Fabrics by Stephanie. So I'm not sure what that fabric is. She doesn't really seem to have anything in her catalog now that matches it, but that's one I got in a grab bag back in her very early days as a dyer. So it was just an offcut that she had of something when she was testing. So I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if it ever had a name. Okay, May 7th will be my Thanksgiving Harvest Fairy, which I've already shown you, so I won't show that again. May 8th, we're back to wait, are we on a Wednesday? Yeah, we're on a Wednesday. And so my new start for that day will be Home of a Needleworker Squared from Little House Needleworks. I picked this up during my recent market haul. And I haven't decided for sure yet what I'm going to stitch it on. When I got it, it came kitted with a piece of the recommended fabric, which is 30 count Portobello by Access Commodities. But unfortunately, when I got this out to serge the edges, this fabric is way too small in my opinion. The finished design size on this is 6 1/8 inches square. And this is a scant, barely 9-inch square of fabric. So that's gonna leave me right under 1.5 inches on each side. And I just don't think that's quite big enough for something like that. Especially if I want to have it framed, which, is the recommended finish. And I know, I could stitch, some muslin or something around the edges, but I'm just not a fan necessarily of doing that. So I need to still do a floss toss, but I did cut a piece of the Heartland fabric for it, and I may use that instead, just so that I'm not cutting it quite so close, because cutting it that close just makes me uncomfortable. I want to have options for finishing, and I just don't feel like I'll have many options if I only have 1.5 inches around. And this did come kitted with the fibers. These are the new colors from Classic Colorworks that came out at market. Okay, so that is May 8th. So on May 9th, we'll be back to a whip day, and so that will be Garden Party by Satsuma Street. I'm doing the cool colorway, and that's on just a white Jobelin. This was originally, when I started it, a stitch along with So and So UK. It has now been released as a public chart, so you can pick it up from the Satsuma Street Etsy store. May 10th, I also can't show you a picture. That is a gift project I'm working on, so that will be my focus piece for that day. May 11th, we are back to another new start, since it's going to be a Saturday. And for that, oops, I just closed the bag after I had opened it. I will be working on, or starting, this will be a new start, Winter Wonderland by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. That bear is so cute. And I will be stitching it. The recommended fabric was, hang on, let me look and see. Oh, it doesn't say on here. Oh yeah, it does. It was Alchemy, Crystal Cashel from Picture This Plus. And I decided instead I was going to use a piece of sterling that I had in my stash already. So this is 32 count sterling Lugana. So the only, I mean, the color I think is fairly similar. This is maybe more of a little grayish or grayish, greenish gray than the Alchemy is. But I think it'll be fine. The floss toss looked fine on it. And of course this is not opalescent, so that will be another difference. And this is charted all with DMC with the exception of one red Weeks, which is Turkish red. And that is for his little sweater. And then I also have the little recommended button pack from Just Another Button Company. I love that little red latte cup. So that will be my start for May 11th. Okay, May 12th, I will be working on being inspired again. So I just showed that. I'm not going to show it again. May 13th will be Two Birds in One Tree by Modern Folk Art Embroidery. I'm doing that with the Sulky Blendables on just some white fabric. May 14th will be the Autumn Keeper Pin Keep by Barbara Anna Designs. I don't know if I can get that with all these projects I'm wanting to get done. My June may potentially stack up and be really busy, but she's really not that far away from a finish either. All that's left is just finishing up the fill-in on her skirt and then putting the little vine, you know, up the side, and she'll be done. Okay, May 15th will be a new start again. I did it again. I closed the bag. I forgot I went through and opened all these so I wouldn't have to open them on video, and I'm closing them. But anyway, so my start for May 15th is going to be Quilting Bee from the Blue Flower. Love this so, so much. So, so pretty. And this one I am going to be stitching with the recommended fibers. These are all, well, so there's one Classic Color Works and the rest are all Gentle Arts. Yeah, there's only 5 colors in it. So yeah, really pretty colors. And it called for, the recommended fabric was sheep straw linen by R&R, and everywhere I looked when I was kitting this up was sold out of it. I couldn't find it anywhere. So instead I'm going to be doing it on a piece of 40 count vintage exemplar. Yep. And that I believe is Lakeside Linen. Yeah, Lakeside Linen vintage exemplar. I wanted the vintage light exemplar, but they were sold out of that. So, but I think this will be fine. The colors all look fine on it. Yeah. Okay, so that is my start for the 15th. Get back in the bag. Okay, for May 16th, I will be working on Spell of the Moon tentatively. Again, that one may end up going the way of the dodo. It may become extinct. So I will either potentially restart it, or I do have an alternate new start, which I'll show you in just a minute. That may take that spot. Okay, so we have now reached the final 3 days, which are all going to be new starts. So for May 17th, I will be starting Mid-Century Gardens by Hands On Design. Absolutely love that. This was a trilogy that there was also a design, as you can see, from Ink Circles, and one from Summer House Stitch Works. Couldn't remember her exact name for her company. I knew it was Summer House something. But this is really the only one that caught my eye in a major way, so I definitely want to do that one. It calls for 32 count vanilla latte, which is, I think, from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Steph, and I am doing mine on 32 count Winter Moon linen, which is pretty similar. It just, it's not an overdyed fabric. But look at these colors. They're so pretty. So we have Weeks Carrot, Weeks Cappuccino, and Weeks Verdigris. And they're just so pretty. It just really hits my color wheelhouse. Oh, that verdigris is so, so pretty. Yep. So that will be my start for the 17th. My start for the 18th will be the Penelope's Posies pin cushion from Lindy Stitches. This was another market purchase. And this came kitted with the fabric. It is, I think, just a white even weave. Yeah. And then it's got the finishing fabric and the pins and all that. And I'm still debating whether I'm going to do it with the recommended DMCs or if I'm going to go through my overdyes and maybe see if I have some overdyes I could use for it. But at this point, I'll probably just use the DMCs because I'm going to have so much to be doing with Stitch Maynia. I do not need to be trying to take the time to convert that to overdyes. So I will likely just use the recommended fibers. Okay, that was for the 17th. My new start for the 18th will be Four Seasons by Little House Needleworks. Love that. And this, I think it came out just before market. It may have been a January or February release, but I got this with my market haul. I ordered it at the same time. And this is another one that I got the package deal from Dreama at Needlecraft Corner, and it came with the Portobello linen, 30 count Portobello linen from Access Commodities. I had never used any of their fabrics. The only thing I'd ever known Access Commodities for were their thread drops. And I have to say, just like with the Ada that I had, I'm not a fan of this because it's really stiff. And I'm not a fan of stiff fabric. So once again, I cut a piece of the Heritage Picture This Plus for that. So I will potentially be using that instead. The only thing that concerns me about using the Heritage for both of these two Little House designs is it uses eggshell, and I'm just afraid the eggshell might get a little lost on this fabric. So that's my biggest concern. Obviously, not an issue at all on the Access Commodities fabric, so I may just have to suck it up. Although, I will say, this piece was cut a little small for my liking as well. Not as bad as the first piece. On this one, I have a full 2 inches on all sides, but yeah. So I don't know. This is so much softer and nicer to work with. I'm just concerned. So leave me a comment and let me know. Do you think that is going to get lost on that fabric? Let me know what you think. That's the only color that is a concern. All of the other colors are dark colors. Yeah. Okay. And if you're curious, that is used on this design for one of the houses right here, and for 2 of the little borders at the bottom. On the Home of a Needleworker Squared, it is used for the 2 spools of thread on either side of the design. So, okay, so that takes me through the 19 days. And as I mentioned, I have an alternate lined up, which may take the place of Spell of the Moon, or if I decide at any other point, yeah, I don't want to work on that after all. That new start. Then this will be my alternate. I do have a couple of others. I'm not going to show them, but I mean, I've still got tons of kitted projects. So if I decide when I get to that day, if a particular new start is not calling my name after all, then I've got others I can choose from. But this is my alternate. This is a photocopy of my chart. So it's my working copy. So this is the 12 Days of Christmas by the Prairie Schooler. This is from the 90s, I think. Yeah, well, yeah, look, $6 for the chart. But what I'm going to do is, rather than stitching it as one big piece, I am going to stitch them as individual pieces and make them into little pillows or pin cushion type things. I have a wire basket that sits on my table that I do seasonal decorations in, and so I thought that would be nice to do for Christmas. And so I've got 12 of these 9-inch squares, square-ish shapes. And this is 32 count platinum Lugano. So that's what I'm going to use for those. And here are the fibers for it. So, and these are my cool little thread drops I made using some punches that I have in my punch collection back there. So yeah. So basically any type of tag shape punch you have, or some people were commenting on my Instagram when I shared a picture of these that they were going to try them on their Cricut, which I also have a Cricut. I just haven't tried it on it yet. But so yeah, any tag shape punch will work. For the hole at the top, you could use either a 1/4 inch, or I use a 3/8 inch circle punch. And for the bottom loop, you could use either a 1 inch, or, as I have done, a 3/4 inch. And you can fit 2 skeins of DMC on this 3/4 inch. So yeah, with the 1 inch, you might be able to fit 3, but I was afraid that the 1 inch might go a little too high and not leave me enough room. It's not as much of a problem on the DMC because they're just a numbers, but if I'm writing out a name, like some of these Gentle Arts where they have, Brethren Blue and things where they have longer names, I was afraid I wouldn't have enough room for writing things like that. And I want to keep all my tags consistent, so, because I'm that way. So I think that is everything. I can't believe I've managed to keep this under 40 minutes. That is a miracle. So, yeah, so are you participating in Stitch Mania? If so, leave me a comment. If you have a Stitch Mania plans Flosstube video, link it to it, or a blog post or something like that. I would love to see what other people are doing. So I hope everyone has a great rest of your weekend. I will have links to everything in the description box below, or I may just do a show notes over on my blog at thedailymail.com and link to that. That's probably easier. I can format things a little easier when posting it on my blog versus trying to do it in the description box here on YouTube. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll just do show notes over on my blog and link it below. So, all right. I think that's it. So I hope everyone has a great rest of your weekend. Game of Thrones tonight, yay! And I will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.